Oh, that's a great question. What are hierarchies of competence versus hierarchies of control, and why does it matter? Well, let's define each one. So a hierarchy of control is where everybody's told what to do, usually obviously in a hierarchy, right? Because it's hierarchies of control. But you've got the traditional organizational structure, the pyramid, right? You've got the small number of people at the top that are the thinkers, right? The deciders. And then you get the majority of people at the bottom who are the doers. And steering flows down, right? So in order for uh, uh, um, something to be decided, right, there needs to be some kind of trigger that a decision needs made. And sometimes that's just going to come from the top because the person at the top has an idea and everybody shall follow it, right? Everybody shall do it. But sometimes it's a market trigger, right? And when it's a market trigger, so this is hierarchies of control, in a market trigger, you've got the markets are actually at the bottom. The people talking directly to the markets are not the people at the top, they're the people at the bottom. They're talking to the shareholders, right? Which is a different sort of market. But who are talking to your actual market of your customers. So there's some kind of trigger, and it has to be important enough that this person who has no authority whatsoever and maybe doesn't give a crap, right? Because they're just doing what they're told. It has to be painful enough for this person that they filter that up to the next level, right? And then it needs to be painful enough for that person above, i.e. there's enough people below giving that feedback that they're like, oh, I need to escalate this. And then it escalates and it escalates, and escalation is the word to watch out for, right? So we're managing by escalation. You've got this item, this problem is escalated up the chain until it gets to somebody who, for want of a better expression, this is how my dad phrased it, you get to somebody who it's beneath them to deal with your problem, right? And they just say to somebody below them, just fix it, I don't care, right? Just fix it. Or they just make a decision, and it doesn't matter whether it's the right or wrong decision, nobody cares, they just make one, right? Because at that level, they're not connected to the environment. So I worked at Merrill Lynch for a few years, before it was bought over by Bank of America, so it's Bank of America, Merrill Lynch now, but there were 16 people between me and the CEO. How long do you think it would take in that pyramidal structure for that trigger to get all the way to the top, a decision to be made, and then that to filter all the way down? And remember, it has to be the same message that filters down to the bottom, which is never the case because, you know, politics happens in here as well. So that's hierarchies of control. You're maximizing the amount of time it takes for a signal, a message, to get to the person who needs to action it, and then for the change come all the way back down. And that was great when we were in the Industrial Revolution, right? Where these practices came from, where in fact the mantra slow and steady wins the race, right, would be the watchword of the day, because the customers aren't changing their mind all the time. The customers aren't exposed to 100 different companies doing the same thing and then picking. That you're making the product that they are buying, end of story, right? Perhaps really, really, really rich people could afford to import a product from somewhere else in the world, but otherwise it's all kind of more local industry, right? You if you want a ship and you're a shipping company, you go to your local shipyard in Glasgow if you're in Glasgow, or perhaps Southampton, but you're not going to buy a ship from a shipyard in China, right? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You would even know that shipyard existed, right? No marketing, no communications at that level. So that's hierarchies of control worked great then, but today, with the speed of market change, right? Because there are no static markets anymore. You need this decision process to be much quicker. So hierarchies of competence are about kind of flipping it on its head while still having a little bit of hierarchy, because I believe that there's definitely a human need for hierarchy, right? Anytime you see a group of people who are challenged to complete some task, whether it's here's a pile of ropes and stuff, cross that river, right? You're going to have leaders that emerge based on their understanding or ability within that particular context, right? So if you gave the same group of people another task, it might be a different leader that emerges based on the context that they're in. That would be a hierarchy created based on competence. I choose to secede some of my control over what it is we're doing to you, so that we can all collaborate together to get to the outcome that we desire. And I am choosing to secede that control to you because I believe you are the most competent person to do it. And you'll see in larger groups of people, there might be multiple different competing ideas for how to solve the problem, and perhaps you'll end up with two groups of people with two leaders that are both trying to solve it in different ways, and then you see which is the better outcome or the quicker outcome or the more optimal outcome, right? And that's just a natural thing that we do. So the fundamental difference between hierarchies of control is, in hierarchies of control, you as an individual don't choose to follow. You are enforced to follow a specific person, even if you think they're the most incompetent idiot in the world. And in that model, you actually, there's an expression that you hear a lot, which is promoted to their level of incompetence. You heard that expression? That's just fits perfectly with that model, because somebody is seen to be good at doing a job, and then they promote them to the next level up, and maybe the next level up is all about management and has nothing to do with actually doing the same job. And now they're no good at it, but you never demote people, you only promote people. So then they never get promoted again. So they've been promoted to their level of incompetence. One level down, they're awesome. This level up, they suck, right? So you end up with these massive management structures in organizations because you've promoted this person to the level of incompetence, and oh crap, they're not actually doing their job, so we need to find somebody else. So we promote this other person, and oh, they're actually good at it. So out of how many people at that level, how many people are actually useful? That's that hierarchies of control create some of those structures. So in hierarchies of competence, you have no enforced structure in that manner. A good example might be Netflix. I think Holacracy, they use some of those ideas where they have a board, which is kind of the enforced hierarchy part. They have a board who sets strategic direction, but everybody in the company's job is to figure out what can they do to best fulfill that overall strategy, right? So that could be, I'm going to go join this team over here because I like what they're doing, or I've got a cool idea, so I'm going to, what's it called when you attract people to your position? You're going to be the leader and attract followers. That's the one. Attract followers and move in a certain direction. And that's all ad hoc and dynamic in that world. So you can almost go, well, that's all the way over here, and maybe your company's not ready for that. We're all the way over here in this top-down, Tayloristic waterfall model. You've got to figure out what's the first thing we can do to help move a little bit more in that direction, to leverage the people that we have and get closer to the market and have a faster, shorter feedback loop, faster turnaround time between market triggers and actual things happening in our organization. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, follow, and subscribe. I always reply to comments, and if you want to have a chat about this or anything else Agile, Scrum, or DevOps, then please book a coffee with me through NKD Agility.